Andre Carter, a black man in a tailored suit, sat in seat 1A, glanced up as flight attendant Hannah Pierce stood over him, her voice tight. "Sir, that seat's for executives only. You need to move." Andre didn't flinch. He placed his boarding pass on the tray. It clearly said, VIP A1. Seconds later, the airline's operations director, a white man in a blazer, boarded and looked at Andre like a problem. "Let's not make this difficult," he said. "We'll upgrade you next time." Andre said nothing. He just checked his watch. Then his phone buzzed. An encrypted message from corporate control. "Board ready. Proceed when appropriate." He stood, adjusted his cufflinks, and spoke 6 words that froze the entire plane. "You might want to check your email." Within seconds, phones exploded, flight crew froze, and careers collapsed in real time. Before I show you how this CEO turned a racist moment into corporate policy, tell me where you're watching from. Like and subscribe if you've ever lived this, even once. Let's begin. The intercom clicked once before the words came, sharp as a blade. "Sir, that seat's not for you." Every sound in the private terminal thinned to a hush. Andre Carter looked up from his phone. Across the aisle, the young flight attendant in a crisp Navy uniform stood frozen, hand still on the headrest of seat 1A. Her badge said H. Pierce. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm sorry?" Andre's voice was even, quiet, but it carried. "This seat," she said again, softer this time, "is reserved for another passenger. You'll need to move back to business class." A few heads turned. The boarding process had barely started, yet tension already had its own gravity. Andre's tailored suit, black wool, subtle sheen seemed to make her more uncomfortable. He didn't move. He placed his boarding pass on the table between them. "Check it again," he said. She did. Her brow creased. "It says VIP A1, but are you sure this is your ticket?" He didn't answer, just met her gaze until she looked away. The silence itself was an accusation. From behind them came a polite cough. A tall white man in a gray blazer stepped into the cabin, rolling a leather carry-on. "Hannah," he said, voice brisk. "We good?" She brightened. "Mr. Ward." "Yes, just sorting a seating mix-up." Andre watched the exchange. The newcomer didn't even glance at him before turning to the attendant. "It's fine. I'm sure he just sat in the wrong row." The casualness hit harder than insult. Andre's hand curled once around the armrest, then released. He glanced at his watch. 9:12 a.m. 8 minutes to departure. He said quietly, "I am exactly where I'm supposed to be." Hannah frowned. Confusion. Threading with something else. Disbelief. Maybe fear. "Sir, this is a VIP seat. For company executives." Andre lifted one brow. "And?" Before she could answer, her radio buzzed. "Pierce? Status?" "Minor issue in VIP section," she said, turning away. "Non-compliant passenger. Sorting it now." The man in the gray blazer, Ethan Ward, smiled the way managers smile at problems they think they can fix with authority. "Sir," he said, "I'm Ethan Ward, Operations Director for TitanAir. I'd appreciate your cooperation so we can keep schedule." Andre's phone vibrated. He ignored it. "Appreciate noted," he said. "But I'm staying in my assigned seat." Something brittle entered Ethan's tone. "Look, Mr. Carter." "Mr. Carter, I'm sure this is a misunderstanding, but this seat is reserved." "For the Director of Operations?" Andre asked. Ethan hesitated. "That's right." Andre smiled, a small curve that didn't reach his eyes. "Then perhaps you should sit down." Murmurs rippled through the cabin. A woman in 2C lifted her phone slightly, camera angled low. The little red recording light winked. Outside, the ramp agent signaled for the door to close. Inside, the air pressure seemed to rise. "Sir," Hannah said again, "if you refuse to move, we'll have to involve security." Andre's voice stayed level. "Then involve them." Her eyes widened. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I'm making it fair, he said. The radio crackled again. Pierce, we're waiting. Departure -6. Copy, she whispered, then turned to Ethan. He won't move. Ethan sighed, tugging his tie. All right, call ground security. Naomi Ellis, seated in 3A, flicked her phone from silent to record. She was a journalist. Human Rights Today, freelancer, on assignment. The story had been meant to be about corporate diversity training. She hadn't expected to find her headline before takeoff. She zoomed in. Hannah's voice, tremoring now, filled the cabin. Security, we have a non-compliant passenger in 1 ampere. Requesting assistance. Andre didn't move. The screen of his phone reflected his own face, calm, expression unreadable. Behind that calm was something heavier, older. The aisle cleared like a wound opening. 2 security officers boarded, 1 male, 1 female. The male spoke first. Sir, we're going to need you to come with us. On what grounds? Andre asked. Refusing crew instructions, the officer replied automatically. Andre tilted his head. Is that what you saw, or what you were told? The officer's eyes flicked toward Hannah. The woman officer shifted. Uncertain. Ethan tried to intervene. Sir, we can sort this outside. You're holding everyone up. I'm aware of the time, Andre said, checking his watch again. 9:16. 5 minutes to departure. Naomi's live stream hit 8,000 viewers. Comments flooded the screen. He's so calm. Why are they treating him like that? This looks racist as hell. Hannah folded her arms. Defensive now. Sir, please don't make this worse. I'm not making it worse, Andre said. I'm letting it show itself. For a moment, no one spoke. The hum of the cabin lights filled the space where human decency should have been. Ethan leaned forward. Mr. Carter, please. This is company policy. Show me that policy, Andre replied. Ethan blinked. Excuse me? The one that says a black man can't sit in VIP. Color drained from Hannah's face. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? He asked quietly. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like assumption turned into authority. The officers shifted uncomfortably. The woman said, Sir, we just need to verify your ticket. Andre handed it over. The officer scanned it, frowned. It checks out. Hannah stepped closer, voice trembling. That can't be right. He must have, I don't know, hacked the system. Naomi whispered into her phone. She said, hacked. Oh, this is bad. Ethan exhaled sharply. Enough. Sir, we'll handle reimbursement, upgrades, whatever you want later. Right now, we need to get this flight moving. Andre met his eyes. You're not listening. He leaned forward slightly. You're escalating. Ethan straightened, suddenly aware of the watching cameras. Security, please escort. A deep chime interrupted him. The aircraft door sealed shut. They were officially behind schedule. Over the PA, a voice called, Departure delayed. Stand by for clearance. Andre spoke again, still calm. Before you continue, Director Ward, are you familiar with Federal Civil Aviation Code 121.58? Ethan frowned. What does that? It states that no employee of an air carrier shall remove or attempt to remove a passenger without lawful cause or safety justification. Neither applies here. Are you threatening legal action? Andre didn't answer. He simply looked at Naomi's camera and said, no, just reminding them of the law. The live stream jumped to 25,000 viewers. Hashtags bloomed. Number TitanAir. Number discrimination in the skies. In the cockpit, the captain's voice broke over the intercom. Ground team, what's the holdup in VIP? Hannah's voice cracked as she replied. Passenger dispute, Captain. We're resolving it. Andre's phone vibrated again. The message on screen. Board ready. Proceed when appropriate. He smiled faintly. Then he stood. Every eye followed him. The officers tensed. Ethan stepped back instinctively. Andre adjusted his cufflinks. "If you truly believe I don't belong here, Mr. Ward, you should probably check your own email." Ethan blinked. "What?" "You'll see it in a few seconds." The radio buzzed again, another voice. Urgent. Tight. "Operations to Ward, hold position." "Repeat. Hold position." Ethan frowned, pulling out his phone. His notifications exploded. Urgent. CEO presence confirmation. Do not engage. He looked up at Andre, confusion giving way to horror. Hannah's mouth opened, but no sound came. Andre's phone rang once. He answered. "Yes, I'm on board. Proceed." He ended the call, slipped the phone into his jacket, and sat back down. "We'll wait." Naomi's livestream passed 50,000 viewers. Comments blurred into a storm. "He's the CEO. Wait, the CEO? Oh my God, they're done." Hannah looked like she might faint. Ethan's lips parted, dry. "You're Andre Carter?" Andre didn't respond. He didn't have to. The radio answered for him. "Flight 207. This is TitanAir Corporate Control. Confirm identity of Mr. Carter in 1A. The captain's voice returned, strained. "Confirmed." "Then all disciplinary authority is suspended immediately," the voice said. "Ground the plane. Await further instruction." Gasps filled the cabin. Andre leaned back, the hum of silence washing over him like surf retreating from sand. "You were saying something about company policy?" No one moved. The female officer unclipped her radio, voice small. "Command confirms. He's the CEO." The businessman in 2C swore under his breath. Naomi's phone shook in her hands. The comment counter hit 70,000 and climbing. Hannah stepped back until her shoulders hit the bulkhead. "Sir, I didn't." Andre looked at her. Not cruelly, but without warmth. "You didn't think you needed to." Outside, the jetway reattached. Ground security boarded. Ethan sank into seat 1B, like a man who had just watched gravity reverse. Andre checked his watch again. Now we're 10 minutes behind schedule. He looked up at Ethan. "Your department will account for every second." Understood. The silence in the cabin became something solid. No one dared breathe until the corporate radio broke it. "Captain, this is TitanAir Board Operations. Mr. Carter is confirmed CEO. Cease all enforcement actions immediately." The captain, pale and sweating, stepped into the aisle. "Sir," he said, voice trembling. I had no idea." Andre looked at him evenly. "That's the problem," the woman officer whispered. "He's the CEO. Oh God." Andre exhaled softly. "Mr. Ward, please have a seat." Ethan obeyed, numb, eyes flicking toward the cameras that were still recording every breath. Hannah looked around for somewhere to disappear and found none. Naomi's phone screen glowed like a small sundae. The viewer count climbed past 90,000. Her voice, hushed, narrated to her audience, "The man they tried to remove is the CEO. He's sitting calmly while his staff realizes their careers are on fire." The captain's radio buzzed again. "TitanAir Corporate, hold the flight. Legal and communications are en route. Mr. Carter." "Sir, you have full authority on board." Andre nodded once. Understood. He stood. The motion was quiet, but everyone felt it. The air in the cabin seemed to bend around his calm. "I want everyone here to understand something," he said. "This is not a misunderstanding. It's a mirror." Hannah's breath hitched. "Sir, please, I didn't mean." He raised a hand. "Intent is a comfort. Impact is a cost." "Impact." Her eyes glistened. Ethan pressed a hand to his forehead, mumbling, "God, this is bad." Andre turned to the captain. "How long have you flown for TitanAir?" 22 years, sir." "And in that time, how many times have you questioned a passenger who looked like me, sitting up front?" The captain swallowed. "Never, sir. Not exactly like this." Andre interrupted, voice still gentle. That's the pattern. It hides in, not like this. He gestured toward the live stream cameras. Now everyone watching knows what it looks like. Naomi whispered, this is history. Andre's phone buzzed again. He answered on speaker. Mr. Carter, this is Patricia Lowe, chair of TitanAir's board. We're watching the live stream. Are you safe? I am, he said. But I think we have a systemic problem. Agreed, Patricia replied. What are your instructions? Andre looked around at the cabin, the faces frozen between guilt and disbelief, the crew members who had reduced him to an assumption. Ground all flights for 30 minutes, he said. Send an internal memo. Suspension of crew pending review. And call the press. The press? Patricia asked. Yes, he said. They're already watching. We might as well control the story. Ethan flinched. Sir, that'll destroy our PR. Andre turned to him. You already did. The call ended. He sat back down, the authority of quiet, absolute power rippling through the room. Naomi's camera caught every detail. His composed posture, the trembling flight attendant, the officer's lowered gaze. Her chat overflowed. Justice in real time. He's teaching without yelling. This is what power looks like when it remembers pain. Hannah's lips trembled. Sir, what's going to happen to us? Andre didn't answer immediately. He looked out the window at the blinding tarmac light. That depends, he said, on whether you understand what you did. Ethan tried to find footing in corporate language. We can issue apologies, diversity statements. Andre cut him off. Stop. Words are easy. You're an operations director. You measure what matters. So measure this. He pulled up his tablet and mirrored it to the seat display. Numbers filled the screen: complaint statistics, employee demographics, incident reports tagged customer discomfort, each a euphemism for bias. 42 complaints this quarter alone, Andre said. 80% dismissed as miscommunication. Do you know how many involved black or brown passengers? Ethan's voice was small. Most? All but 3, Andre said. This flight wasn't an accident, Mr. Ward. It was a test. Hannah blinked. A test? I've been hearing rumors about bias in our VIP treatment protocols, he said. So I booked this flight under my name. No special escort. No red carpet. I wanted to see how my own company behaves when no one's watching. He looked directly at her. Now everyone's watching. Naomi's audience count passed 100,000. Her phone buzzed with calls from news networks begging for permission to rebroadcast. Andre's voice dropped lower, steadier. You, Miss Pierce, told me people like me don't usually sit here. Do you understand how that sounds when millions of passengers fly under our logo? Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean. I know, he said softly. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. Prejudice isn't about intention. It's about instinct. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. Ethan sat rigid, staring into some internal distance where excuses used to live. Andre's phone buzzed again. He tapped once, putting the call on speaker. Mr. Carter, a male voice said. Robert Kent here, legal counsel. The board is assembled. We recommend you disembark and we'll handle internal matters. Andre smiled faintly. No, Robert. This is my aircraft, my crew, my mess. I'll handle it. A pause. Understood, sir. Media requests are pouring in. Let them wait, Andre said. We have something more important to finish. He turned to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. You're witnessing a painful but necessary audit of conscience. I promise you this flight will land safer than it took off. Applause broke out from the rear hesitant at first, then louder. It wasn't for spectacle. It was relief, respect, something deeper than entertainment. Andre looked back at Hannah. You have 8 minutes, he said. Tell me, in your own words, what happened here? Her voice trembled. I saw a man sitting in a VIP seat who didn't look like the passengers I usually see there. I assumed he didn't belong. I called for help. And now, the whole world knows." Andre nodded slowly. "Good. Honesty is the beginning." He turned to Ethan. Ethan swallowed. "I believed her because she's crew. Because I've trusted my staff before. I didn't ask for evidence. I assumed she was right. And I acted like I had the right to remove you." Andre tilted his head. "And why did you assume she was right?" Ethan's answer came as a whisper. "Because I've never had to imagine being wrong that way." The admission landed heavy, echoing in the hush. Naomi's viewers flooded the chat with hearts and tear emojis. "He's making them face it. This is how you teach power." Andre exhaled. "That's the lesson. Prejudice isn't shouting slurs. It's assuming comfort means correctness." The plane was utterly still, except for the hum of the engines idling at the gate. He looked at the captain. "File an incident report titled Carter Test. Attach full audio and visual records. Send to every department head." "Yes, sir." He turned back to Hannah. "You asked what will happen. I'll tell you." Her chin lifted slightly, bracing. "You'll both be suspended," he said. "Pending review and retraining. But not fired." Ethan blinked. "You're keeping us?" "I'm keeping your failure," Andre said. "We're going to turn it into curriculum." Naomi's phone nearly slipped from her fingers. "Oh my God," she murmured. "He's transforming punishment into policy." Andre continued, voice measured. "Every employee at TitanAir will attend mandatory equity training. You two will lead the sessions. You will explain exactly what happened here, in your own words, on camera. Over and over. Until it stops happening anywhere else." "And maybe Dad my..." Hannah's tears came freely now. "I'll do it. Whatever it takes." Ethan looked down. "I don't deserve." "No one does," Andre said. "That's why we start again." The intercom buzzed. "Corporate security has arrived, sir." "Let them wait," Andre said. "We're not finished." He faced the passengers once more. "If you recorded this, keep it, share it. But remember, justice isn't humiliation, it's education." Naomi lowered her phone. "You just changed how every airline will handle discrimination." Andre gave a small, tired smile. "Then maybe this delay was worth it." The captain cleared his throat. "Sir, we're cleared to depart." Andre nodded. "Then let's fly." As the plane lifted off, the cabin lights softened. Hannah sat across the aisle, eyes red, hands trembling. She looked at him once, searching for anger. All she found was exhaustion. "Can people change, sir?" she asked quietly. Andre didn't look up from his tablet. "Only if they stay awake after they've been exposed to themselves." She nodded, whispering, "Then I'll stay awake." Outside, clouds folded over the wings like gauze. Inside, silence became reflection. Naomi turned her camera off. For the first time that day, she wanted privacy for everyone. Andre opened a new document titled The Carter Protocol, Case 01, Flight 207 Incident. He typed, "Discrimination thrives in the quiet between assumptions. Our task is to make that quiet audible." The hum of the engines steadied into something almost like peace. Understood. 3 weeks later, the same aircraft sat parked in a hangar outside Dallas. Engines silent. Cabin lights cool and white. Cameras lined the aisle, this time by invitation. A placard on the entryway read, "TitanAir Equity Simulation. Case 1, Flight 207. Inside, Andre stood beside a large monitor showing the archived footage, the confrontation, the disbelief. The moment recognition hit, the air smelled faintly of metal and coffee. Rows of employees filled the seats that once held passengers. Pilots, attendants, security staff, managers, each watching themselves in proxy. Hannah Pierce sat in the front row, hands clasped tight. Her uniform was the same, but the confidence in her posture had been replaced by something more careful, almost reverent. Ethan Ward sat beside her, tie loose, eyes hollowed by months of public scrutiny. They had become the faces of a story that wouldn't die. Andre looked at the camera crew and nodded. "Begin recording." A red light blinked on. "Good morning," he said to the assembled staff and the invisible millions who would later stream this training. 3 weeks ago, I boarded one of our flights with a ticket and a question. How far had TitanAir drifted from the principles we write on our posters? He paused. I didn't expect the answer to arrive so quickly. On the screen behind him, Hannah's voice echoed from the past. "Sir, this seat isn't for your kind." The playback froze. You could almost hear the collective intake of breath. Andre gestured toward her. "Miss Pierce?" She rose slowly. Her voice trembled at first, but steadied as she spoke. "That was me." I said it. I didn't think before I spoke. I thought I was protecting order, but what I was really protecting was my own comfort. "I see that now." Andre nodded once, the smallest sign of acknowledgement. Ethan stood next, and I backed her up, because I trusted the system. We built a system that told me who to believe. I didn't see bias. I saw protocol. But protocols are written by people who look like me. No applause, no judgment, only silence, thick and waiting. Andre looked around the room. "This isn't punishment," he said. "It's confession. Because systems don't change through policies. They change through people who refuse to look away from what they did." He clicked a remote. The next slide appeared. The Carter Protocol, Phase 1. Mandatory empathy immersion for all 11,000 TitanAir employees. Anonymous reporting network. Cross-rank accountability reviews. No exceptions. But it wasn't the bullet points that held the room, it was the simplicity of his next sentence. "You cannot serve the public if you do not see the person in front of you." The words hung in the recycled air, like gospel, rewritten for airports. A week later, Naomi Ellis's documentary aired, 30,000 Feet, the flight that changed corporate America. The footage wasn't sensational. It was surgical. She showed not outrage, but evolution. Andre's calm, Hannah's apology, Ethan's reckoning, and the boardroom's silence, breaking into reform. By the time the credits rolled, TitanAir's stock had rebounded higher than before the scandal. The company's website crashed under traffic from applicants who wanted to work there. At a conference 2 months later, Andre stood behind a podium surrounded by reporters. A journalist asked, "Mr. Carter, some say you staged this event for publicity." Andre smiled faintly. "If I wanted publicity, I would have told them who I was before takeoff." The room laughed softly, but his eyes didn't. I wanted truth. Publicity came after. Another reporter called out, "What happened to the employees involved?" He looked toward the side of the stage where Hannah and Ethan stood, now trainers for the Equity Initiative. "They're helping me build the new TitanAir. They're the best evidence we have that people can change." Later that night, in his office overlooking the city, Andre scrolled through his inbox. Thousands of messages, some hateful, some grateful. One subject line caught his eye. From H. Pierce, subject, "Thank you for not firing me." He opened it. "Mr. Carter, every day I think about that moment when I told you to move. I replay it before every training session. The hardest part isn't remembering it, realizing how easy it was to believe I was right. You gave me a second chance to do something useful with my shame. I intend to spend the rest of my career earning it." Hannah. He read it twice, then closed his laptop without replying. Some gratitude was meant to remain unanswered. Outside, the city pulsed red lights, white streaks, aircraft banking over the skyline. On one of them, a passenger adjusted his seatbelt as a flight attendant smiled genuine, unguarded, and said, "Welcome aboard." Andre hoped it was one of his new trainees. 3 months later, TitanAir published its quarterly report. Incidents of customer discrimination, 0. Public trust index, record high. Complaints about staff bias, down 93%. The press called it the Carter effect. Andre called it basic humanity, catching up to common sense. But the real proof came in smaller ripples. In Atlanta, a gate agent stopped herself mid-sentence, when a black teenager walked into the priority line with a VIP ticket. She smiled instead of questioning. In Seattle, a Latina mother traveling alone with 2 kids was offered extra help, not suspicion. And somewhere over Denver, a young attendant named Kayla turned to her colleague and whispered, "Remember, Flight 207. The story had become shorthand, a corporate parable whispered in break rooms and HR meetings. "Don't do a 207. They joked nervously. And in that discomfort, awareness lived. One evening, Andre returned to his penthouse, the city a grid of light beneath him. On his coffee table lay a letter in a child's handwriting. The return address read, Texas Elementary School. He opened it carefully. "Dear Mr. Carter, my mom works for TitanAir. She said you made her boss cry, but in a good way. She said now everyone is learning how to be kind, even when nobody's watching. I want to be a pilot one day. I want to fly your plane. Love, Maya." He sat there a long time, the letter trembling slightly in his hand. Outside, a plane crossed the moon's edge, a small moving light, impossible to identify, but beautiful in its motion. He smiled, whispering, "Then maybe it was worth it." Later, he walked to the window and recorded a short video on his phone. No script, no lighting, just truth. 6 months ago, I was told I didn't belong in a seat I paid for. Today, that seat belongs to anyone who earns it, no matter their color, their name, or their story. Change doesn't start with policies. It starts with pauses the moment you catch yourself judging before you know. If you ever witness injustice, don't stay quiet. Speak. Record. Ask the question no one wants to hear. Why do you think they don't belong? Because the world only changes when someone refuses to move from their seat. He posted it to TitanAir's internal channel. By morning, it had been shared over 2 million times. Months later, Naomi visited him again for a follow-up. She found him in the company lounge, watching the sunset paint the runway gold. "Still flying under your own name?" she teased. "Always," he said. She hesitated. "Do you ever regret how it happened?" Andre considered that. Eyes following a departing plane. Regret the pain? Yes. Not the lesson. Pain taught us to listen. She smiled. And the company? Better than ever. But I'm more interested in the people who quit because they didn't like the change. They'll teach other companies what happens when you ignore the lesson. Naomi closed her notebook. "One last question. Do you still think about that day?" "Every time someone looks surprised to see me in first class," he said. They laughed softly. The sound felt lighter this time. When she left, Andre remained by the window until the airport lights flickered on. A child in the terminal pressed her hand to the glass as her mother pointed at a TitanAir jet taking off. The mother smiled the same kind of pride that used to be fear. Andre watched them disappear into the crowd. The engines roared, steady and alive. He whispered to himself, "Never underestimate the power of a single seat." The next morning, TitanAir launched a new campaign titled "Every Seat Deserves Respect." The ad showed no celebrities, no slogans, only ordinary passengers boarding, sitting, smiling, each captioned with one word: belonging. The campaign went viral for its quiet sincerity. Airline stocks across the industry began adding Carter clauses to their training manuals. Even competitors called him for advice. He always said the same thing: start with the question, not the defense. 6 months later, he received another letter, this one from Hannah. No apology this time, only a photograph. Her standing beside a class of new recruits. Every face different, every smile unguarded. On the back she'd written, "Still awake, still learning." Andre pinned it to his wall. That night, a storm rolled over the city. Thunder rattled the glass, and lightning reflected against the framed photograph of the TitanAir logo behind his desk. He remembered the fear in Hannah's eyes that day, the trembling in Ethan's voice, the weight in his own chest when he said, "Intent is a comfort, impact is a cost." He poured himself a glass of water, Not whiskey. He hadn't touched alcohol since that day and sat by the window again. The stormlight strobed across his face. In the distance, a plane climbed through the clouds, its lights cutting through rain. He thought of Maya, the little girl who wanted to be a pilot and hoped the sky would be kinder by the time she got there. He whispered one last sentence, not for anyone else, just for himself. Justice is only the beginning. Then he watched the storm fade, and the night returned to quiet. A quiet that, for the first time in a long while, felt safe.